Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. And as always, we're back with another video, back with another topic of discussion. And today, we'll be talking about integrity and professionalism. Now, this is slightly different to the topics that we usually talk about, as this pertains to a side of the game that it is not just mental, but we'll try and focus more on that aspect in terms of how we carry ourselves as athletes with integrity and professionalism. Why is this important? Having integrity and professionalism in your sport when you perform is all about moving forward, but also in the right direction. Okay, sometimes it's not about what you do, but how you do it. So whether it's how you perform, how you treat your teammates, how you react when things are not going your way, maybe how you react when you get opportunities, there's a certain way you need to do things. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, what are the main issues encountered? The first one is not taking the time to fully understand where you're going and what you're agreeing to. Now, where you're going. In which direction are you taking your career? Being professional is not just a demeanor. It's doing what you have to do well. So understanding where you're going, what your role is in your specific setup. Again, if you're playing an individual sport, a team sport, understanding what is expected of you. I talked about this in a previous video, but this is slightly different in the sense that as a professional, now we're not necessarily pros in the sense that we get paid to play, but professional in the sense that you execute the way you're meant to execute. And obviously, integrity in terms of how you do it, not only for yourself, but also with the people that you're working with, whether it's people that are working with you hands-on, and even, integrity towards the people that are working behind the scenes. This could be the medical staff, this could be anybody behind the scenes that you don't always see. Just making sure that you know what's going on and you're ready to do things correctly. Second issue is compromising when faced with great opportunities. Now, in sports, opportunities do not come every day. It's tough to find yourself in the right place at the right time. And when you get certain opportunities, you can tend to overlook things that you wouldn't normally overlook. And this is a big issue because a lot of people get lost in these opportunities. A good opportunity is not necessarily an opportunity for you. And I think a lot of people struggle with this more in the long run. Something that looks good today turns out to be a complete and utter disaster a couple of months down the line, a year or two down the line, and that's something that we need to look out for. Another issue is obviously not thinking about the consequences of our actions. This is just a continuation of what I just previously said. When we do things, we need to think. My bad. We need to think about the long-term consequences of our actions. Pretty much the main issues that we face here are about a process. Not only how we enter into our specific domain, but how we, carry ourselves throughout. And even, let's say you do make it, you still need to make sure that you maintain that integrity and professionalism throughout. So thinking about the consequences of your actions long term is something that some people don't necessarily do. Now, it could be about picking the right setup for you, not doing enough research. People leave it at surface level information. Now, if you're at a point where you're getting paid, people might just look at how much money you're making, the benefits that you get, but they don't necessarily look at the setup itself. They don't necessarily look at how well they could fit in that setup, or maybe fit in the city that you're moving to, or seeing how your family may adapt depending on, how old you are, your responsibilities. And this is something you need to think about. I do understand that you want to be competitive, you want to challenge yourself, but you also need to think about the consequences of your actions, not just for you, people around you, your future, which does matter. All right. Now, obviously, how do we deal with this? In French, we say vaut mieux prévenir que de guérir. And that joins what I just said previously. Rather make sure than to not think about what's going on and just deal with it once it hits you. You need to take the time to understand what you're about to do. You need to make time to go over all the possibilities and make the best decisions possible. And again, it's not just for you, but it's also for other people that can be affected by it. You also need to think about the setup you're integrating. You making a wrong decision could also affect the setup you're stepping into. So you really need to think about this and cover all angles. Don't just stop at surface level things that, seem like gold. The money, the benefits, all the good stuff. You need to think about the other side that a lot of people don't take enough time to dive into. Second thing is to stay true to who you are. And this comes back to what I was saying about compromise. If there's an opportunity that requires for you to compromise your morals and your values, no matter how big or small, it's probably not for you. And that comes with finding yourself in the right setup. Finding yourself in the right setup is not just an environment, it's also people. The people that you work with, you need to look at that. If the people that you want to work with do not align with you in terms of morals, values, and the way they operate as a whole, it's probably not the best fit. Now, I personally experienced that to a certain degree with the last football team I trialed for. I'm not going to get into too many details, but yeah, pretty much there was a bit of an issue on the administrative side of my registration. I made the team, everything was fine, and then come time to register me, certain things that transpired, which again, I don't think the intention behind it wasn't bad at all. In that specific context, I understand where that was coming from. But again, is context enough for you to go against your morals and your values? I don't think so. And I don't think you should go for that either. Okay, so whatever situation you may be faced, something that maybe you've experienced in the past, or maybe things that you may experience in the future, just please look out for that. Stay true to who you are and stand firmly on that. Last thing, obviously, is to always think about the consequences of your actions before you even start doing whatever you've thought of doing. You need to think about that in the beginning. It's like, okay, this is what I have in front of me. This is the opportunity. These are the benefits. These are the potential downsides. Now you look at every single action that might come from you accepting this opportunity. You need to think about this, not just for your career, but for your personal life. How could this potentially affect my career? How could this potentially affect my personal life? And you think, are the consequences of this, negative or positive, worth it? If they are worth it, cool. If they're not, you probably shouldn't go for it. If it's in the middle, and again, you can't always be 100% sure of everything, so that's completely fine. If you have some things that are kind of in the middle, I'd say it's okay to go with some of them, because again, we don't know what's going to happen 4, 5, 6 months from now. Maybe you thought about that and it just didn't go the way you thought about it, and that's completely fine. But if it's something that you know you would not be willing to deal with, and that you thought about it, like I said, you thinking about one thing and it not happening are two different things. But if from the jump you know that this outcome is not for me, you might as well leave it. That's the end of today's video. Hope this helped. Hope you learned something from it. And yeah, catch you guys next time.